Welcome back with a smiling face. Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. The Girl in the Woods. Episode 8. Chapter 67 to 75. There was no need to look at the door to know to whom that voice belongs. Mr. Patterson. I stood up from the sofa automatically. Jake also stood up with the aids of his crutches. Mr. Patterson was staring at both of us with his fiery eyes. If he hadn't realized earlier that something is going on between us, now he realized it for sure. My heart was beating so fast. God! What will happen now? An outsider knowing our secret is dangerous. We should have been careful than this. I didn't know you are here, Mr. Patterson said, looking at Jake. He is trying his best to hide his anger, but it was clearly visible in his voice. Well, I just came. I got your message. Jake replied in a calm voice. Got your message? What did he mean? Why did Mr. Patterson send a message to Jake? It was her wish, was Mr. Patterson's reply. But he was not looking at Jake, he was looking right into my eyes. His gaze made me feel like I did something terribly wrong. Suddenly the door was again opened. Sarah, Luke said, looking at all of us. I think we should leave now. Otherwise, we won't be able to reach home at least before midnight, Luke said again. I was in a hurry to leave this place anyway. But now, since Jake is also here, I wanted to stay more. I looked at Jake, thinking about what to say. I think he is right, Sarah. You both should leave now. Jake said. You can stay if you want, Sarah. I will be glad if you can stay, Mr. Patterson said quickly, ignoring everything Jake and Luke said. Oh. What should I do now? You said, your parents want you to come home tonight, right? They will get worried. So you should leave now. Jake said in a firm voice. Oh. Really? I didn't know your parents were that much concerned about you, Sarah, Mr. Patterson said with a fake smile. Let's go, Sarah. I want to go home too, Luke said. It seems like you two worry too much about her. Mr. Patterson smirked. What is this, Jackie? Don't you want her to meet your loving family? They will be pleased to meet her, he said sarcastically. Jake's family? What is he talking about? On the other hand, why did he call Jake Jackie? Only Luke calls him like that when he is joking with Jake. How Mr. Patterson became that close to Jake? I looked at Jake. His face has turned red. He is angry, and he is trying his very best to control it. I think we should go now, Mr. Patterson, I said immediately. I couldn't really understand what is going on here, but one thing was crystal clear. Jake and Luke want me to go home. So I have to obey. Oh. That's sad. If you could stay, that would be a great relief for me. But what to do? Anyway, thank you very much for coming all the way here, Sarah. You don't know how much that means to me. Mr. Patterson said, shaking my hand. Then unexpectedly, he hugged me. God! He was holding me so tight. It was even difficult to breathe. All I could see was Jake's burning face. He was furious. I saw how his jaw muscles clenched with unbearable anger. He was about to pull me away from this jerk. He even took a step forward, but Luke signed him to stop. Then Mr. Patterson released me from the age.ug. It was clear that he did it intentionally to make Jake mad. Because after breaking the age.ug, he looked at Jake and gave him a wicked smile. Well. Thank you very much too, Luke. Then Mr. Patterson said to Luke, pretending as nothing has happened. Luke didn't say anything. He was furious too. After bidding farewells, I went out with Luke, leaving Jake and Mr. Patterson alone in that room. No need to say that I didn't want to leave at all. Leaving my Jake with that monster is driving me crazy. There is something terrible going on between these two. Is Jake safe here at all? Luke, can't you stay with him? I asked as soon as we came out of the room. Then who is driving you home? He asked. I can take a cab or something, I replied quickly. You are going with some stranger that far in this night. That is never going to happen. Luke replied. But don't you think he needs you more than I do? I asked again. Listen, Sarah, I wish I could stay with him. I really wish. But being with him all my life, I exactly know what he wants most right now, he said, looking at me. He wants you to be safe. He wants you to be far away from here and stay safe. No matter what I want to do right now, I am doing what he wants me to do. So please stop whining and let's get out of here, he said in a firm voice. I had so many things to say and ask. But I felt completely speechless. So I just followed him silently. Even after getting into the car, both of us were silent. There were so many things going on in my mind. There is a greater connection between Mr. Patterson and Jake. More significant than I think. Otherwise, why Mr. Patterson sent Jake a message? It seems that Jake came after he received that message. Everything that has happened since I first met Mr. Patterson started to replay in my mind. How Jake reacts to everything related to Mr. Patterson. What if the trouble Jake's family is facing right now is related to Mr. Patterson? At least you know his son, Mr. Patterson's words were echoing in my mind. God! By any chance, did he talk about Jake? No way. Sarah! Don't even think like that. Do you ever think Jake is capable of doing all those heartless things Mr. Patterson said? I indeed became his girlfriend a few months ago. But I have known him and observed him for many years now. I have never seen him being unfair to anyone. He always does the right thing, no matter what it cost him. There is no way he can be Mr. Patterson's evil cousin brother. Or what if Jake is really his uncle's son, but Mr. Patterson lied to me about his uncle's family, as Luke said? Yes. That makes a lot of sense. How Luke reacted when I told him about what Mr. Patterson told me makes it even clearer. Oh, my God! Is Jake really Mr. Patterson's uncle's son? If it is so, then that jerk is a big liar. What he really expect from lying to me? God! He's lying to me is not the real problem we have. Maybe he was not lying to me. Maybe he is in a big misunderstanding. Anyway, Mr. Patterson hates Jake and his family more than anything. There is no doubt he is seeking revenge. Is this the real reason why Jake hides everything from me? Does he think that Mr. Patterson would hurt me or something? If it is the case, I don't think there is anything to hide anymore. I have fallen into well already. I have acted like a complete fool. Why couldn't I understand these things earlier? My head felt like it is going to explode. Maybe I am just overthinking. Nothing I thought is true. Maybe all these are just my imagination. But what if I am right? Then Jake is in big trouble. We have just left him in the wolf's den. God! What should I do? I have to clear my doubts, or I am pretty sure I will go crazy thinking about these things. Should I ask Luke? Or should I wait for Jake? No. I can't wait anymore. Staying in the complete dark is better than seeing a glimpse of the light and resist chasing it. Luke, I said. Even I couldn't recognize my voice. I was that nervous. Yes, he said. Jake is Mr. Patterson's uncle's son, right? I asked. Luke suddenly hit the brake paddle. With the speed we were coming, if I hadn't fastened the seatbelt I would definitely crash into the windscreen with his unexpected brake. What? He asked, with wide eyes. Jake is his uncle's son, right? It was about Jake's family Mr. Patterson talked about. Am I right? I asked. But deep down me, I was still praying that everything I thought will become just imaginations. I hate you for being dumb earlier, Sarah. But now I hate you more for being smart, he said in a low voice. That is not the answer to my question, Luke, I said. I don't know Jake will like it or not, but I can't lie to you anymore after you put the question in that way, yes. He is Andrew's uncle's son. But don't ever believe the Andrew told you. Jake and his family have done nothing to him. He had to suffer a lot, that's true. But Jake and his family are not responsible for them. My heart stopped for a second. So everything I thought was right. I can't understand anything, Luke. Then why he blames Jake's family for everything? I asked. Sarah. It is really a long story about what has happened between those two families. I don't think it is my place to tell you about it. However, I can tell you one thing, Jake's father loves his sister Andrew's mother a lot. It is Andrew's father who created all the problems. Believe in the person you love, Sarah. Stop trusting anyone else. No matter what people say to you, remember that your Jake is not capable of hurting anyone. Luke said. I know that, Luke. Not even for a second, I think Jake did anything to hurt Mr. Patterson. But now I am worried about Jake even more. Mr. Patterson is seeking revenge from Jake's family. I have no doubt about that. I said. Jake knew that you would be worried. That's why he didn't want to tell you the truth on the first day we saw him at our university. But believe me, Sarah. Jake's dad knows how to keep everything under control. So don't worry about anything. Easier to say than doing it, Luke. How can I stop worrying about him? I want a favor from you too, Luke said. What? I asked. First promise me, you would do it, he said again. Okay, I promise, I said without even thinking twice. There is nothing I can't do for Luke or Jake. Don't let Jake know that you know the truth. Please pretend like you don't know about anything. Chapter 68, Jake's POV. Being the only child in a powerful and wealthy family, most people think my life is a bed of roses. But in reality, it is totally the opposite. There were countless times in my life that I wished I was born to some ordinary family. My parents love me with their lives, that is the only good thing I have in my family. With all the power and wealth my father holds, we had to face many troubles throughout our lives. One time that made me almost lose my mom. Fortunately, she could survive, but as a disabled person for her entire life. Now they have made me lose my Aunt Liz. The only person I love in my family other than my parents. Aunt Liz has always been a kind-hearted, innocent woman. She loved my dad very much, and her love for me and my mom was strong too. But her husband, Uncle Alan, is totally opposite. He is the #1 jerk. He is the reason for all the problems that have occurred in our family. Aunt Liz's only son Andrew is no different. I wish he got something other than his look from his mom. When Andrew lost his girlfriend from a tragic accident, Uncle Alan simply put the blame on my dad's account. Andrew was also so stupid to believe him. We have nothing to do with her accident. After just a few months, my mom also faced a similar type of accident which made her disabled. There are some other people behind all of these. I don't know why Uncle Alan and Andrew can't understand that. Andrew started to hate all three of us after his girlfriend's accident. Taking revenge from us became his only purpose. It was Aunt Liz who could control him, and now she is no more. So Andrew is totally out of control, and Uncle Alan has persuaded him to believe that my father is responsible even for his mom's death. So all these made us in a far more vulnerable position. But that is not the only reason I feel miserable after Aunt Liz's death. I love her so much, and I am going to miss her so much. She is a goddess. However, Andrew and Uncle Alan are just a part of our troubles. There are a lot more things for us to worry about. When I first saw Andrew at the university, I wanted to tell the truth about him with Sarah. But I was afraid that she will get worried. She has gone through enough in her life. I don't want to make her suffer anymore. If she knows about all the life-threatening problems we have, she won't be even able to sleep in the night without worrying about me. I could do nothing but warn her about him. But my warning was not strong enough to make her stay away from him. He could manipulate her so easily using her innocence and kindness. When Luke told me that she is coming to Andrew's house, I felt totally lost. I couldn't figure out what to do. I knew he is after my Sarah, and I knew that he won't think twice before using her to get revenge from us. How I can let her come knowing all these things? Finally, I could make my heart because Luke agreed to come with her. There is no one I trust more than Luke. So I am sure that he will protect my princess with his life. Uncle Alan didn't let us see her in the hospital. My dad begged him, but he was not ready to listen. So when I received a message from Andrew asking us to come for the funeral, I was surprised. However, we didn't want to waste even a second, so we went to his place. When I saw my princess in the hallway, I couldn't control myself. All the sorrows and pain that were killing me within these few days started fading away just by seeing her innocent face. I knew it was dangerous to talk to her here, but what can I do? There is an irrational child who lives in every person's heart. When you are with the person you love most, there is no way you can control that irrational child from taking ownership of your actions. God! How much satisfaction just one touch of her innocence can give me. All my pains and worry started to disappear when I hold her against me. I completely lost myself within her delicate lips. But I was not lucky enough to have a sweet, loving moment like that. Devil himself came to interrupt me. You are such a genius, Jake. If he had any doubts about you and Sarah, now you made him confirm that you are in love with him. So please explain how you are going to protect your precious princess from this devil now. Thank God. Luke came right then. Andrew was trying to make me angry in front of her. No matter what he says, I promised myself to stay calm. Anyway, it is his mom's funeral. I didn't want to make a scene. Because I didn't want to do anything that would disrespect my aunt. But he really crossed my limits, when he hugged her. He was holding her so tightly. She was staring at me with her panicked eyes. She is mine and only mine. I don't want anyone to touch her. I don't even want his cursed size to touch her pure self. I was furious, and I have no words to explain what I felt right then. I wanted to pull him away from her and choke him to death. But Luke stopped me. He was right. Going against him now only make things worse. However, finally, she left us. Luke. Please take her home safely. Jackie. You love her so much, don't you? He asked while laughing at me. Even though it is a few minutes after she left, I was still staring at the door. Andrew. Leave her alone, I said, trying to be calm. But I was burning inside. It required all my strength to stay calm. Why, brother? What did I do? He asked sarcastically. You know exactly what you did. Please, Andrew. She has nothing to do with anything that goes between us. Leave her alone. I said. Did you and your dad left my Lily alone, brother? No, right. UK, LOLED her, he screamed. For God's sake, Andrew. We didn't do anything to Lily. Why can't you believe us? What can we possibly gain from harming her? I asked, knowing well that it is useless to explain these things to him. You wanted to hurt me and my dad. But that innocent soul had to pay the price, he screamed again. Andrew, I know there is no point in saying you these things because I have said them countless times by now. But believe me, my dad, or my mom, none of us want to hurt you or anyone in your family. My mom got into the same type of accident just a few months later. Can't you see the correlation? There is a bigger enemy to all of us, Andrew. I said. I don't want to hear you, he yelled. Remember this well, Jackie. I know you love her, and as I assume, she has no idea who you really are. You know what, it is not just you who love her. What? What is he talking about? I love her, Jake. I see Lily's innocence in her. I see my mom's kindness in her. He is not making fun. He is serious. I know she loves you a lot. I know I have no chance with her right now. Everything she does for me, she does them out of pure empathy. But you know what, I know how to change her. I know how to make her mine. I will make her hate you more than anything. You don't know anything about her, Andrew. I said, laughing. I trust her more than I trust myself. Our love is stronger than you can ever imagine. I said. Oh, really, Jackie? How long have you been lovers? 1 month or 2 months? Do you even know what love is? He laughed. How old our relationship doesn't indicate how strong it is. You or no one in this world can understand the bond I share with her. You can try, Andrew. You can try until you die. But you can never make her hate me. She is willing to kill herself than loving someone else. She is mine, and she is mine forever. I said. I actually had no doubts about what I said. He can kill one of us if he wants to spate us from each other. But he can never make us against each other. Without saying anything, he laughed like he has gone mad. Let's see, brother. Let's see, he finally said. However, one thing was crystal clear, the true battle between Andrew and me has just begun. Andrew Patterson's POV. Well, he could send her home, no matter how much I wanted her to stay. No need to say, it hurt me a lot to see how she follows his decisions. But it killed me to see her in his arms. My little angel, you should be mine. I can't let any other man touch you like this. I can't let you love any other man. I have lost everything I had in life. I can't lose you too. Making her mine serves 2 purposes. I get the girl I love, and I can get the revenge from him as I want. How mad he became after I uged her just once, clearly said, taking her away from him is the biggest punishment he can ever get. I know it is not easy to do what I said. She is loyal to him. But nothing is impossible. I have nothing to lose. So I am willing to do anything. I am willing to sacrifice anything to make her mine. I don't care if she loves me first or not. I can make her love me after I make her mine. You have hidden so much from her, don't you, Jake? You wanted to make sure she is safe by hiding them from her. Now see how I use it to turning her against you and finally make her mine. Let's see how things are going to work, Jake. Not every day is your day, Jackie. Chapter 69. After Mr. Patterson's mom's funeral, nothing special happened for some time. Jake returned to the university 1 week after the funeral. However, as I promised to Luke, I didn't tell Jake that I know about his relationship with Mr. Patterson. Jake didn't mention any of the problems at his home either. He got recovered from the injury after a few weeks, and he started practices again. Our relationship grew day by day. Jake did everything he could to spend time with me. Since we had to do it hiding from the whole world, it was not a simple task. But he managed to do it somehow. I would be over the moon if I got the chance to hold his hand and walk in the faculty corridors like every other couple in our batch. But I never felt sad about it either. Little are romantic moments we share, hiding from everyone filled my heart with happiness and hope. Sally became one of my best friends, despite her broken hopes for Luke. She always hangs out with me. Luke also joined us from time to time. Thanks to the friendship of both Luke and Sally, I didn't have any problems with other students. After that day, when Luke said I am his girlfriend, Shane also didn't try to bully me at the university. So I didn't have any problems with his gang members too. At home, the situation is more or less the same as in the past. Mom scolds me for nothing whenever she gets a chance. Fortunately, she is so busy with her new job. So she is not at home most of the time. When Mom is not around, Dad usually doesn't bother me. Shane mostly avoid me even at home. So I can just do the household work without much trouble. When everything is going smoothly as this, you may wonder what happened to Mr. Patterson. Well, Mr. Patterson didn't come to the university for 3 weeks because of his mom's funeral. Even after he comes to the university, he behaved surprisingly nice. He didn't try to be a jerk. However, we started our new semester, and he started his lecture series with us. So all of us have to spend 4 hours every week with him. No matter how his personal life is, he is an exceptional lecturer, I must say that. So it seems everyone loves his lectures. Even Jake said he likes the lecture series. During the lecture, Mr. Patterson didn't bother any of us at all. Most especially, he didn't try to show any special favoritism to any of us. So we can just focus on the lecture without any disturbance. Though he acts like that in the university, he came to the cafe sometimes. But he didn't specially ask for me like the other day. He just ordered something and stayed there for some time, while reading something. Yeah, I know, anyone can come to the cafe whenever they want. So it is not a big deal. He called me a couple of times, but fortunately, they were just friendly conversations. He just wanted someone to share his pain. I didn't tell Jake about Mr. Patterson's calls. He didn't talk anything about Mr. Patterson with me either. So I didn't want to make him worried. No need to tell I was happy with how things were going on. But at the same time, I was worrying that something bad would happen. Don't call me a pessimist. I have gone through a lot in my life that prevents me from believing that everything is going to work out perfectly this soon. There is always silence before a storm. Isn't that what people say? Well, they are right. I can tell you from my experience. Just as I thought, everything started to turn upside down one day. I think you can remember about the romantic gateway Jake planned for 2 of us. Since Jake was recovered now, we had the possibility of going for that. But Jake said we have to wait for some more time because, with all the problems he has at home, this is not a safe time to go somewhere together like that. It would be great if we two can go there and have some dreamy alone time, but I never thought of complaining about it, because I knew he was worried about it a lot more than me. After all, he is the one who planned everything. I don't really need a luxurious place like that to be happy with him anyway. As I told, I was happy with what we are having. But he wanted to do something more. He said we should at least spend a weekend together. But it was not safe to travel anywhere. Finally, we decided to spend a weekend at Luke's place. Jake thought it is much safer than staying at his place. Luke volunteered to let us use his house for the weekend. He said he will stay with his cousins at the weekend. So we planned everything. That weekend my mom was also on a business trip. So I just had to get permission from Dad to stay the weekend with my friend Penny. He didn't ask anything more. He just gave his permission. On Friday evening, Luke picked me up from a few blocks away from my house, and he drove me to his place. Jake was already there when we reached. After Luke left us, it was just Jake and me in that house. Well, this was not the first time we were alone in a house. But after that day when Jake took me to his place after he saved me from those filthy gangsters, this was the very first day we are going to spend the night alone. I was nervous, but at the same time, I was super excited. He is the person I love more than my life. This is the first night I am going to be alone with him after we officially started our affair. Though we are bound to each other in every possible way mentally, we haven't gone that far in our relationship. Physically. Maybe today is the day that we take our relationship to the next level. Can you understand how excited am I? We just sat on the couch and watched TV for some time after Luke left us. After a few minutes, he put his arm around my shoulder and pulled me closer to me. I kept my head on his shoulder. We stayed like that for some time, just cuddling. "Are you hungry?" he asked. I was hungry but not for food. How can I say it to him? So I just shook my head. "But I think you should eat something, princess. You are going to need a lot of energy today," he said with a playful smile. "Why?" I asked involuntarily. But as soon as it slipped from my tongue, I regret saying that. He smiled again. Then he placed a kiss on my cheek. "You will see why, princess," he seductively whispered to my ear. I blushed. "Let's go eat," I said, standing up without letting him say anything else. He laughed at my blushed face. But he didn't say anything. Holding my hand, he took me to the kitchen. He had ordered dinner for us. Making me forget the embarrassment on the couch, he started talking about other stuff. So I didn't feel uneasy at all. He really knows when to be playful and when not to be. It felt wonderful to sit next to him in a cozy, little kitchen, talking with him and have dinner. We rarely get time to eat together like this. One day after we get married, I will make you dinner every day, Jake. So we can sit in our small kitchen and have dinner, talking with each other like this. Just imagine how magical is that. After dinner, we cleaned the kitchen together. Then Jake asked me to go and select a movie on Netflix until he gets us some popcorn. I was going through the movie list nervously. I don't know much about good movies. Jake seems like he has a very sophisticated taste. So what if he doesn't like what I chose? Couldn't select a good one yet? Jake asked, sitting beside me. You can select a movie. I am okay with watching anything. I said quickly. No, you choose, princess. I can watch any movie you select, he said, putting his arm around my shoulder. Anyway, I don't think we will be able to watch the movie for a long time, he said after that, playfully smiling at me. I blushed again. I just selected the first movie on the list, without even checking the TLE. However, I have selected the movie Notebook. We were just watching the movie first. He had one of his arms around my shoulder, and he was holding my hand from his free hand. I was just resting my head on his shoulder. God! This feels so good. Like a dream. After a few minutes, when I look at Jake, he was just staring at me with a smile on his lips. Why? I asked. It is interesting to look at how your facial expressions get changed than watching the movie, he replied, after placing a small kiss on my cheek. Really? I asked, laughing. Yes. For real. I can keep on looking at you for the rest of my life, princess. You are so beautiful, and I love how your facial expressions change with the emotions you have. I feel like I can read you like a book, he said in a low voice. God! Why he sounds so sexy. I just want to taste his lips. I don't know how he read my mind. But the next second, his lips were on mine, exploring my mouth passionately. Our kiss started to get intense. He was caressing my back while I was playing with his hair. Then he removed his lips from mine and started going down. He started kissing my neck seductively. God! This is like heaven. I was feeling so good. I was wearing a blouse with buttons at the front. He touched the first button with his fingertips while his lips were still exploring my shoulder area. Then he looked at me like he was asking permission from me. You don't need permission for anything, Jake. I am yours. My mind, body, and soul, everything is yours. I placed a warm kiss on his forehead, giving him the permission he was asking for. He then started undoing my blouse. This is really happening. It is not a dream. Sarah. Finally, you are going to be completely his. But he stopped when he reached the third button. He stared at my half-exposed chest for some time. Then he placed a kiss on the area he just got revealed. It was a very safe kiss. Like I am a delicate little flower. He stood up. I looked at him with wide eyes. What has happened? Why did he stop? Without saying anything, he lifted me up in his arms and started walking towards the bedroom. My heart was thumping in my chest. I was not even sure I am really here with him. With the most handsome and smart guy I have ever seen. With the guy who is everyone's Prince Charming. He placed me safely on the bed. Then he stared at me for some time. As he saw me for the first time in his life. God! Sarah! I can't even believe you are really here with me. How long I have waited for you, my princess. The next moment he was kissing my lips again. Don't know how long we were kissing each other. Then he raised his head and looked at me. Princess! What we are about to do is something that you can never undo. Are you sure you really want to do this? Because I can wait as long as you want. Honestly, I love to make you mine in every possible way. But your wish and your happiness are the most important things for me, he said. What are you talking about, Jake? I never want to undo anything that is going to happen between us. Please let me be yours in every possible way, I said, locking my lips on his. We started kissing again. God! You are so beautiful, he said. He looked like a Greek god. So. When we heard his phone rang. He didn't pick it up. He didn't even bother to see who was calling. His focus was just on me. But the phone started to ring again. My dearest all, this story actually has two main parts. The first part ended when Sarah got to know who her secret massager was. After that, we were just getting ready for the second part of the story. Now, from this chapter, the second part officially commenced. Chapter 70, he was letting me explore an unknown side of happiness, that I even didn't know about. I never thought someone's touch could make me this happy and fulfilled. His phone started to ring again. He lifted his head a bit and looked at the ringing phone. But the next second, he changed his mind and buried his head in my chest, without even bothering to see who was calling him. He was so into this, just like me. For that moment, we didn't want anything else in this world, other than each other's touch. Drawing his lips all over my chest, he reached my belly area. His lips felt so good on my naked belly. They took me to a whole new world. God! I love you so much, Jake. I caressed his hair softly. His stupid phone was ringing again. What? Who is calling? Why these people can't let us have some peace? Lifting his head from my body, he stared annoyingly at the phone. But this time also he decided not to worry about it. Coming all the way up, he started kissing my lips once again. It was like he is intoxicated. He was drugged by his love for me. By our love in hand with the need. I have never seen him being this much dominated by his emotions. His phone started to ring again. Well. This is the fourth time. After all, what if this is an emergency? Otherwise, why would anyone call him 4 times, this late in the night? Jake, I tried to remove my lips from his. I think. You should answer it, I managed to say, holding my breath. He sat on the bed hesitantly. He was clearly annoyed. However, he took the phone in his hand. It is Shane, he said, looking at me. What? Why is he calling you? I said with shock. He rarely calls me. Actually, he never calls me late at night, he said, answering the phone. Hello, Jake said. I was looking at him, thinking why Shane wanted to call him. What? Jake sounded surprised and angry at the same time. Are you sure it was them? He again asked. What? Where is he now? Well, this time he looked utterly panicked. He even stood up from the bed. God! It seems like something terrible has happened. I sat on the bed. No. Be with him. I am on my way, he said, cutting the call. What is it, Jake? I asked with a shaking voice. There was a fight at the university, he said, still looking at the phone. What? It was a bunch of guys from the Victoria team. They attacked Shane and others when they were walking towards the car park, after meeting the coach. Look, Sarah. I will explain everything later. But I have to go right now because one of them has hit Luke with a baseball bat, and he is hospitalized now. Jake said in a hurry. What? I felt like my heart stopped for a second. My poor Luke. Is his condition serious? God. Please. Don't be so cruel. He has done nothing wrong. Then Jake picked his t-shirt from the bed and put it on. I know, Princess, that you are worried about him. But for now, even I don't know any details. So I must go, he said. Yeah, I said in a broken voice. Tears have already started coming down from my eyes. It is not safe to take you there. Shall I drop you at your home? He asked. How sweet and caring is he. Even in a situation like this, he is worried about my safety. No, Jake. I will stay here. Don't waste time. Go quickly, I said, getting down from the bed. I even forgot that I was not wearing a blouse. Okay, then. Keep the door closed. Don't open it unless it is me or Luke. Also. Get dressed, he said, giving a look at my half-naked chest. Okay. Please at least text me once you know how he is, I said. Okay, princess. Stay safe, he said, quickly placing a kiss on my forehead. Shane's POV. We were walking towards the car park after meeting the coach. Since the inter-university series is about to start, we had a few things to discuss with him. Since Jake couldn't make it today, it was just 4 of us. Luke, Bob, Glenn, and me. Discussion with the coach dragged more than we thought. We had a very unpleasant situation at our match with Victoria's team day before yesterday. We defeated them just 2 to 3 months ago as well. So when they got beat by us 3-0, the day before yesterday as well, they couldn't just stand it. They started to act very aggressively, and they made a lot of penalties as a result. Last time, they made Jake injured. This time they got 2 of our players injured. Fortunately, their injuries were not as serious as Jake's. Coach wanted to discuss that incident as well. He talked worriedly. He said he has no idea how they can put the sportsmanship into that lower level. However, after the discussion, while we were walking towards the car park, we were also talking about the same incident. Suddenly, we got circled by some guys, and they started to fight with us. We didn't even have time to understand what was happening. It was just 4 of us vs nearly 10 of them. I could recognize some of them. There were some of the players from the Victoria team, and some other people I don't know. Have they hired professional thugs as well? Because those people don't look like students at all. How dare them to come to our own university, and attack us like this? It was totally like an adventure movie. I am not just bragging, 4 of us fought back like heroes. But everything turned, as one of them hit Luke with a baseball bat. Luke fell down, holding his head. I totally lost my strength and my right mind when I saw Luke covering with blood. He was screaming in pain. My Luke is in pain. Those also seemed to frighten after seeing Luke's status. So they started to run away. Bob and Glenn tried to chase them. But I stopped them. We can't fight with all of them. On the other hand, we should focus on Luke, not about anything else. Putting Luke in Glenn's car, we drove him to the university hospital. I was pressing a piece of clothing to Luke's wound, which seemed useless. Blood was flowing down. The clothing was not enough. Not just him, even I was covered with blood. Call Jake, Luke managed to say, as soon as we took him to the hospital. The next moment he lost consciousness. The hospital staff immediately took him to the emergency unit. We had already called our coach as well. He was on his way. But I thought it is good to call Jake as well. Not just because Luke asked. But I was not in my right mind. I was furious. I could kill those for what they did to Luke. On the other hand, I was in pain after seeing how Luke screamed in pain. Glenn and Bob were shocked too. They don't even know what they are talking about. So we need someone. Someone like Jake, who can handle any situation. I called him. But he didn't answer. What? I called him again. I called him until he answered. Jake's POV: Luke is in ICU. I felt totally lost. He is still unconscious. Doctors are trying their best to stop bleeding, and keep his heartbeat and other essentials steady. He is my friend. My very best friend and my brother too. He is the only one who knows everything about me. I just couldn't stand seeing my Luke in such a critical condition. I felt guilty. Maybe all these are because of me. I didn't come to the discussion today, and let them go alone because I wanted to spend some alone time with my girlfriend. If I were there, when they attack us, maybe I could protect him. Yes. This is my fault. I betrayed my best friend. How did I do that to him? He is willing to sacrifice his life for me without even thinking twice. But The doctor came out of the ICU, God knows after how long. How is he, doctor? The coach asked. We could stop bleeding. But he is still unconscious, and his heartbeat is really weak. We have to run a few tests to make sure no damage has happened internally. There is no sign of internal bleeding yet, but we can't guarantee that. He is not out of risk. We can't actually say anything right now, the doctor's reply made my heart shattered. How long should we stay in this pain to know his status? I just wished it is me who in the ICU, not him. I can't bear this. I love him so much. I can't bear this. Shane started hitting his head on the wall, blaming himself. I should protect him. But I didn't. I couldn't protect him, I want to kill them. Every single one of them, he was screaming. Bob and Glenn had to put all their effort to stop him from hurting himself. Listen, boys. There is nothing we can do by acting like this. I have already informed all the relevant parties. They will take care of the matter. We can do nothing, but pray for him, the coach said. Then the coach's phone rang. Yes. What? What you mean by they are not there? They came to our university and hit our players. One of our key players is fighting with death right now. You have to find them, however. He yelled at the phone. We all were staring at him. Police went to their hostel. But none of them were there, the coach said. Those were hiding. I knew it. They don't have the backbone to face the consequences. Shane said. Then he stormed off. Bob and Glenn ran after him. Where you are going, Anderson? The coach yelled. But I don't think Shane even heard him. I will talk to him, coach. Don't worry, I said. Don't let them do anything stupid. We don't want any more troubles. The coach said. I nodded and followed them. Shane was about to get into a car when I approached them. Where are you going? I asked. I just can't wait like a moppet until he gets better. Not when those are hiding out there, after what they did to him. I exactly know where they are, and I am going to get them, Shane yelled. We should all go. I turned around with the voice came behind me. It seems like almost everyone in our team was there. I couldn't figure out who said that. What you think, Jake? Dave asked me. They are asking my opinion. Our coach kept his full faith in me to control the team from doing anything stupid. He is right. We have inter-university matches coming up. We can't afford to do stupid stuff. But all I could think was Luke's innocent, cheerful face. What he will do, if he is in the situation I am in right now. There is nothing to think. He will kill those. I am going to do the same. I couldn't protect him from getting injured. But at least I am going to get revenge. No matter what are the consequences I have to face. Chapter 71, I was waiting at Luke's house. Jake texted me saying that Luke is in the ICU, and his condition is not that good. It was 3 hours earlier. After that, I didn't receive any calls or texts from him. I didn't try to call him because Shane and all the guys are there. But I sent him many texts to which he didn't reply. So not knowing anything about Luke's condition, all I could do was crying and praying God to protect him. In this short time how much he has become close to me. He has become an essential part of my life. I couldn't even bear the feeling of him lying unconscious on a hospital bed. I don't know how long I spent crying and praying on the living room floor. I was about to go crazy. Finally, I heard someone knocking at the front door. "Sarah," I heard Jake's voice from outside. Thank God. I immediately opened the door. Oh. My God. I couldn't understand what has happened. Forgetting to even breathe, I was looking at Jake, who looked like a total mess. His shirt was torn near the shoulder, and he had blood stains all over his shirt. God. He even got a wound in his forehead. What has happened? "Don't you let me come in," he asked as I was just staring at him, blocking his way to enter the house. I walked inside, letting him come in. He entered the house and closed the door behind us. "What has happened, Jake?" I asked. "Those were hiding," he said angrily. Who attacked Luke and others, so, police went to their hostel to arrest them, but they were not there. Shane knew where they were hiding. "So we went there and caught them," he replied plainly. "So they got into a fight with you as well?" I asked. "Yes. But this time they couldn't just escape. We handed them over to the police," he said in a satisfied tone. "How is Luke now?" I asked. "Still in ICU. He is still unconscious, still unconscious." God. It has been a long time now? Why doesn't he gain consciousness back? I couldn't go to the hospital like this. "So I came to change clothes," he then said. "Is it hurt? Your wounds?" I asked sadly. "This is nothing compared to what Luke is going through," he replied in a weak voice. "He sounds exhausted and miserable. Go take a wash, Jake. I will get the first aid box," I said. Then he went to the bathroom. I switched on the kettle to make him some coffee. I can totally understand his status of mind. Luke is not just his best friend, he is Jake's brother too. I can understand that he wants to take the culprits in front of the law. But I have no idea what this might put Jake into. Will he also get into trouble because of this? God. This is too much. Now I have to worry about both of them. By the time he came out of the bathroom, I could make him a coffee and get the first aid box. He was just wearing a bottom. There was a cut below his shoulder and another one in his forehead. I offered him the coffee. Without saying anything, he took it and sat on the sofa. Though he didn't say anything, it was not that hard to understand he is in pain. Without even knowing he M0ANED when he stretched his arms and legs. I sat beside him and started to apply for some medicine on his wound in the forehead. Then I put medicine on the wound in his chest. His masculine chest, which I kissed so dearly just a few hours before. At any other time, seeing him shirtless, and touching his chest would definitely make me shiver. But at that time, the only thing I felt was a pain. I can sense the pain in his body as well as in his mind. "Sarah. I must go to the hospital again." I called Luke's parents. "They may have arrived by now," he said. I nodded. My eyes were filled with tears. I don't know why my destiny never let me get some happiness. Whenever I am happy and satisfied, something terrible would happen to steal that happiness and satisfaction from me. Hey! Don't cry, princess. Everything is going to be all right. He will get well soon in no time, he said, wiping out tears from my cheeks and gently kissing me. Then he hugged me to his naked chest. "Do you want to go to the hospital?" he asked. "Yes," I replied quickly. "I will drop you at your home. You may call Sally, and come to the hospital with her," he said. "Okay," I replied. Let's go then, princess. I can't just let him stay alone in the hospital, he said, placing another kiss on my head. After I got home, I called Sally and informed her what has happened. First, it took her some time to realize what has happened. Then she broke into tears. She loves him so much. Even after he confessed about being gay, she still loves him. Poor Sally. I just wish Luke can love this wonderful girl instead of my brother. It took me nearly 10 minutes to make her calm down. She said she will come to get me to go to the hospital. Jake's POV: when I come to the hospital, Shane was already there. He was just nervously walking here and there in the corridor. He got a few wounds on his forehead and arms. They were dressed. But he was still in the same clothing which was covered with blood. He was actually limping rather than walking. He is injured and in a lot of pain. Why didn't you go home and change? I asked. I couldn't go home leaving him like this, he replied. How is he now? I asked. Still the same. The doctor said he is still not out of danger, he replied worriedly. I have never felt any admiration towards Shane other than in a football match. He is indeed a brilliant goalkeeper. Apart from that, I never found any reason to like him. Most especially, the way he treated Sarah made me hate him with all I have. But today he acted totally different. His pain and his worry are not fake at all. Everyone indeed loves Luke, and everyone is worried about him. But what I observe from Shane is something special. I have never seen him being this nervous and worried about anything. Doctors earlier said Luke may need blood. Since his blood group is O negative, they were not sure they have enough blood in their blood bank. At that time, Shane volunteered to donate blood without even thinking twice. I always felt that Shane especially treats Luke. My feeling got just confirmed today. But my doubt is, what is the reason behind this special treatment? Luke's parents came after a short while. His mom was crying and she was a total mess. As soon as she saw me, she hugged me so tightly and started crying even louder. His dad wanted Luke to be transferred to a hospital in the city. He is willing to take Luke anywhere to save his life. But doctors said it is dangerous to move him anywhere with the current status. They also convinced him that they have all the required facilities and expert knowledge to treat Luke. Finally, he agreed not to move Luke to another hospital. Both Sarah and Sally came to the hospital. They were both crying. There were many students in the hospital at that time, and some of the girls were in tears, so it felt normal. But seeing Sarah in tears is something I couldn't stand at all. I wanted so much to go and comfort her. But what can I do? I don't know if there is any other boyfriend who feels so much helpless. Sarah's POV. As a result of our non-stop prayers and doctor's continuous effort, by noon, Luke got conscious back. Doctors said he is out of danger. But he has to stay in the ICU for some more time. Only his parents got the chance to go and see him. I also wanted so much to go and see Luke. But that's okay. Knowing that he is going to be alright is enough for me. Doctors asked his parents to go home and take some rest since he is out of danger now. But his mom refused that. She insisted that she needs to stay with her son. His mom seems so kind and loving. She was just sitting outside the ICU. Luke's dad went to meet the doctor. I wanted to talk to her and comfort her. But I was afraid. She is a woman from a very high-class family. I don't know how she will react if I talk with her. However, finally, I gathered up courage and walked to her. Mrs. Bernards. Would you like some coffee? I asked. She raised her head and looked at me. Sarah. Isn't it? She asked, making me surprised. Yes, Mrs. Bernard's, I replied. Glad to meet you, darling. Sit here, she said, holding my hand. I sat next to her. She took the coffee cup from me and took a sip. I was so worried. I didn't know what should I do. He is everything I have, she said. Don't worry, Mrs. Bernard's. He is going to be all right, I said. Yet. Now I feel a bit okay. After Jake called us until the doctor said that my baby is out of danger, I don't even know how I behave. She said. Without saying anything, I gently rub her hand. Sarah. Luke has told me so much about you, she then said, looking at me. He doesn't usually talk about his friends other than about Jake. But he talked a lot about you. He said you are the smartest and kindest girl he has ever met, she said. My eyes again filled with tears. My sweet Luke. I am that important to him. Other than Jake, I am the only friend he talks about. I am so glad that he has you and Jake in his life, darling, she said, caressing my hand. See, these kids never let us stay in peace, Beth. Now Luke is getting okay, but Jake has got into trouble. Mr. Bernard's Luke's father said, walking towards us. What did Jake get into trouble? What has happened? Without even knowing, I stood up. Chapter 72. I felt a little bit okay and could give a break to my continuously crying eyes as Luke got a little bit better. But now Jake is in trouble. I don't even know what has happened, but my eyes filled with tears, and my heart was aching. What has happened? Mrs. Bernard's asked worriedly. An officer came. He took Jake and a few other boys to the police station. Mr. Bernard's replied. What? To the police station? Mrs. Bernard's asked. Yes. Jake and those other boys have entered the Victoria University premises illegally during last night. They found those who beat Luke when they were hiding somewhere in the university. They all have got into a fight after that. Mr. Bernard said. God. I knew that will put Jake into the trouble. But our boys wanted to catch them and bring them in front of the law. Mrs. Bernard said. That's true. But what the officer said was they should have informed the police where those were hiding, and let the police handle the matter. In this case, it is more like they took the law to their hands. They have entered a university by force, and during their fight, they have damaged some university properties also. They have got into a really bad fight with those boys too, Mr. Bernard's explained. Oh! God! Why don't you have mercy on us? Whatever Jake and others did, they did that because of their friend. Otherwise, they will never do such a thing. My heart was throbbing. What will happen to my Jake now? Will they lock him up? My God! What we should do now? Should we inform Victor? Mrs. Bernard's asked. No. No. We should not. Letting him involve means more troubles. I am going to the police station now. The coach is also here, he is coming with me. We will see what can we do. Can you stay here alone? Mr. Bernard's asked from his wife. Yeah. I can stay. I have Luke's friend with me. Don't worry about me. Go and see what you can do. Don't let them do anything to our Jake, Mrs. Bernard's replied immediately. Then Mr. Bernard's left us. I can't even believe Jake acted that rashly. He normally thinks a lot before doing anything, Mrs. Bernard said in a broken voice. She is right. Jake always acts patiently. He usually doesn't make any hasty decisions. I wanted to reply to her, but I couldn't find words with my tears. More I tried to hide my tears, they spilled out of my poor eyes. Oh! darling. Don't cry. Uncle Ted will handle that issue, Mrs. Bernard said while stroking my hand gently. I didn't know what to say. I couldn't control myself. Sarah, with Sally's voice, I raised my head. Did you hear? An officer took Jake and a few others to the police. Sally said in a hurry. My husband informed us, dear. Mrs. Bernards replied on behalf of me. Oh. What will happen now, Mrs. Bernards? We all are so worried, Sally said worriedly. What is your name, darling? Mrs. Bernards asked gently from her. I am Sally, Mrs. Bernards. I am so sorry I couldn't even introduce myself. I was so nervous, Sally replied apologetically. That's totally okay, darling. Sit here, Mrs. Bernards made Sally sit on the vacant chair next to her. You girls, don't worry. Ted, I mean Mr. Bernards knows all the big people in the police. He will do everything he can, Mrs. Bernards said assuringly. I and Sally both hold her hands. Even her warm touch was a relief to my aching heart. Jake and other boys mean Shane is also surely with them. I know exactly how much he loves Luke. So his situation is no different from Jake's. No matter how Shane treats me, I worried about him too. There are only 4 men who are close to my life. Jake, Luke, Shane, and my dad. 3 people out of those 4 are in trouble now, and I am not capable of doing anything for them. We waited outside the ICU for some more time. Doctors said they have to keep Luke in ICU until tomorrow. Though he is out of danger, they need to constantly monitor him. None of us have eaten anything since last night. But I don't think any of us felt any need for food as well. After like 2 to 3 hours, Mr. Bernards returned. He said police officers agreed to release Jake and the others. But they have to do some community services as a punishment. That's a relief. I was so afraid the police would lock them up. After some time, Jake, Shane, and a few other guys came to where we were. They stayed there for some time, talking to Luke's mom and dad. Jake looked drained. My poor baby. After they went out, I got a message on my phone. It was from Jake. You haven't eaten anything, right? You must go home now, princess. Luke is going to be all right. I don't want to eat, Jake. I am so worried about you both, I replied. Please go home now. I will call you later, he replied. You girls may also go home now. There is no point in staying here. You can come tomorrow morning. I was just looking at the phone when Mr. Bernards talked to me. What about you two, Mr. Bernards? I asked. We will also go to Luke's house. Rest for some time, and come again. He replied. So after that, I left the hospital with Sally. We both were so exhausted. None of us even wanted to eat. So she directly drove to my house and dropped me there. She said she will come tomorrow morning to go to the hospital. Shane hasn't come yet. His car was not there. I went to the upstairs even without checking about mom and dad. I was too exhausted to deal with them. After taking a wash, I lied down on my bed, holding the phone. Yesterday night, how happy I was. I was the happiest girl on the earth. But how fast everything got changed. Today, I cried more than enough for all the past few days I stayed happily without any troubles. After a few minutes, my phone rang. Hello, Jake's tired voice raised from the other side. Thank God, you called. Where are you? I asked quickly. I came home to take a wash. I will go to the hospital again in a bit. Did Shane come home? He asked. Not yet. Did he leave the hospital with you? I asked. Yet. He didn't want to leave at all. Uncle Ted had to do a lot of convincing. He is concerned about Luke a lot more than I thought. I actually have never seen this side of him, he said. What can I say, Jake? He loves your friend more than anything else. Everyone has a good side as well as a bad side, Jake. Anyway, I am so relieved that you all could solve the issue with the police. I said. Thanks to Uncle Ted and all the people he knows. But Sarah, I don't think the university will take this easy. He said worriedly. What do you mean? Coach was really annoyed. Especially at me. He asked me to stop other guys from doing anything stupid. But what I did was, I gave them the guidance to do something utterly stupid, he replied. No. Don't say like that, Jake. You didn't do anything stupid. You all just wanted to find those and bring them in front of the law, we can say that to make our hearts. But deep down we all know, we just wanted to get revenge for invading our university and injuring our friend. I don't even know how I acted that carelessly. At that time, it felt the most appropriate thing to do. He said. His voice clearly said how much he is regretting. I can understand that, Jake. He is your best friend. It is totally normal to act like that, I tried to make his heart. But you know about me, Sarah. I always act patiently. I never act without thinking properly. I could wait without acting aggressively when you get bullied by all those guys, though it killed me to wait like that. I always thought I should focus more on our future than the small issues in the present. I don't know what happened to me today, stop worrying about that, Jake. Everything will be all right, I said. I don't think so, Sarah. The coach said now even the vice-chancellors of the two universities are involved in this matter. So our university is definitely going to take severe disciplinary actions against us, he said. Severe disciplinary actions? What type of severe disciplinary actions? I asked tensely. I don't know. There is a high probability they would suspend us for some time, along with some other punishments. My punishment is going to be worse than others because I am the captain of the team, and it is my responsibility to control my team. Suspend them. God. No. Please don't do that. If he gets suspended, it will add a black mark on his record, and it will ultimately affect his first class and all the other achievements. He is our current batch top. There is no doubt he is going to maintain that to the final year. But if this type of disciplinary action was taken against him, he will never get to be the batch top. Depends on the period of suspension, there is a probability that he won't be able to face the exams as well. Analyzing all these from my mind, I got really frightened. When Luke's get better and got to know about all these, he will get so bothered. He will definitely think it is his fault that we all got into trouble. You know how it can affect my academics if I get suspended. Luke will not able to stand it. He would worry his whole life for that, Sarah. That's why I am so worried about all this. Otherwise, I can just forget these. I don't need a first class or anything to be happy. If I have you, Luke and my parents with me. That's all I need to be happy, God. Jake. You love him that much. You don't even care about the damage it can cause you. You just worry about your friend. I love you so much, Jake. From those days, I obsessed over you, I love you so much. But your golden qualities make me love you more and more. I didn't even know I could love anyone as much as I love you. Let's see what we can do, my love. Let's find a solution somehow. Whatever happened, I am always with you and I will do everything I can to support you. Chapter 73. After Jake cut the call, I was lying down on my bed, thinking. I heard Shane's car parked in the garden. If that suspension really happens, it will affect Shane a lot too. I mean, he doesn't have to worry about a first class or getting any other awards. But he barely hangs on to the academics without getting on academic probations. If he has to go for the punishment, then it will increase his school fees, and it will affect my parents too. So this disciplinary action is going to change every person I care in this world. I heard Shane coming up on the stairs. Opening my door, I went out. I know he doesn't want to talk with me. We never share our happiness or sadness with each other. But I felt really sorry for Shane. At least I have to show him that I am here if he wants to talk to me. He saw me when he was walking towards his room. But he just walked towards his room, without acknowledging my presence. Shane. Do you want anything to drink or eat? I asked, kindly. No, he said. I know what you are going through, Shane. If you want to talk, I am here to listen, I said, following him. Without saying anything, he just entered his room. But he didn't close his door as usual. Isn't that a silent invitation for me to go and talk to him? I followed him to his room, wondering how he would react. Anyway, even if he yelled at me, it is okay. I am so used to his yellings. So I can bear just one more time. He was sitting on his bed, staring aimlessly at the wall. He hasn't even switched on the lights. Except for the faint light from the corridor, his room was in full dark. I was afraid to switch on the lights too. Maybe he wants to stay in the darkness. I stood beside him without saying anything. We stayed like this for a few minutes. I was right beside him, but I couldn't protect him. Finally he spoke. His voice clearly showed his frustration. I should protect him, but I failed, he said again. You can't blame yourself for that, Shane. You all were fighting with those, I said. I saw that going to hit Luke, but I was not fast enough to stop him. Now my Luke has to go through all these pain just because I was not fast enough, he said. I didn't know what to say. All I can do was asking him not to blame himself. But I think there is no use of saying that again. I can't bear seeing him like that. When he is in the ICU fighting for his life, I thought I would go crazy. Don't worry, Shane. He is out of danger now. Doctors will transfer him to the normal wards by tomorrow, I said. But the doctors said it will take some time for him to recover completely. He may have to lie on a hospital bed for weeks. How am I going to bear that? I just wish it is me who is in the hospital bed right now, not him. What can I say, Shane? I feel you. I totally understand you. After that, he was totally silent for a few minutes. The faint light in his room was not enough for me to clearly see his facial expressions. But I have no doubt he was suffering a lot. I have never seen him suffering for another person in his whole life. He does care about my parents. But what he has for Luke is far greater. Since he was not talking, I thought of leaving. When I was about to go out of his room, he talked again. Today, I realized one thing. I stopped and looked at him. We really can't predict what will happen in our lives. Everything can be changed so quickly. So keeping secrets is not the way to go forward, he said. What did he mean? I am going to tell Luke about my feelings right after he got discharged, he said boldly. I wanted to run to him and give a.h.ug. I wanted so much to ask you to do that. There is no need to suffer alone when you both love each other. You have taken the best decision, my brother. Jake's POV Luke was transferred to the regular room. But doctors said they can't discharge him yet. Luke's parents want him to be transferred to a hospital in the city, so they can take care of him without any difficulty. The doctors advised to keep him in the university hospital for one more day, and if everything is okay, then transfer him to a hospital in the city. After he was transferred to a regular room, I could talk to him. He was not in a stable status to talk. But he asked me to forgive him for ruining my date with Sarah. I really wanted to slap him for saying that. How he thought having a date with my girlfriend is more important than my best friend's life. Sarah and I have our whole lives to have any number of dates we want. But if something happens to Luke, I will never be able to forgive myself. I didn't tell him anything about the police case or our disciplinary actions. I wanted to keep it a secret until he gets better. He is not in a condition to endure all these. On Monday evening, doctors allowed transferring Luke to a hospital in the city. I was sad because I don't get to visit him often now, but it is for his own good. On the other hand, I was happy because he was even out of the town. When the university administration is going to announce their decision against us? They were having internal discussions during the whole Monday, and they have asked me to come for an inquiry on Tuesday morning. I went for the inquiry on Tuesday morning. If I had any hopes for getting a light punishment, all my hopes vanished away after seeing who was there in the inquiry panel. Yeah, you guessed it right. What Andrew is doing in this panel. Mr. McMiller, please take a seat, our dean said to me. I sat in front of them. There were our vice-chancellor, our faculty dean, our coach, my academic advisor, and Andrew. I can understand the importance of all the other people to this meeting, but why Andrew is needed here? Then our dean commenced the discussion. As he mentioned, Andrew is here because he is the head of the student disciplinary committee. I can't even understand who appointed a guy like him to such a significant role. However, they first let me explain my side of the story. Then the panel started to tell me about the gravity of my action. The dean said it is such a disappointment to observe this kind of behavior from his best student in the faculty. What can I say? Nothing they said was wrong. From their perspective, they are totally right. Our discussion went on for like an hour. After that, they let me go. Anyway, one thing was clear. I am not going to get a light punishment at all. I came out of the room, with a heavy heart. I was worrying so much about both Luke and Sarah. I know they can't stand if something happens to me. I don't want to see them worrying about me, but what is the option I have? Shane was waiting outside, he had an inquiry after me. What happened? He asked as soon as he saw me. Nothing much. I don't think they will let this go easily. I replied. He sighed. Then he went for the inquiry. I sat on one of the chairs in front of the inquiry room. There were a lot of things going on in my mind. I just wanted to think alone. I knew the exact way to get rid of all these troubles. Just one call from my dad could change everything completely, but I was not ready to go for that step. It is better to solve the matter on my own. I don't want the whole world to know whose son am I. We are not ready for that yet. Even Andrew knows I am not going to take advantage of my dad, I am pretty sure about it. After a few minutes, Shane came out. His inquiry didn't take as long as mine. Maybe I just felt like that, because I was so attached to my own thoughts. I could really kill that, Shane growled, sitting beside me. Who? I asked. Mr. Patterson, why? What did he tell? He is pretending like he is on our side, but it is crystal clear that he is the one who makes everything worse, Shane explained. Well, he just spoke my mind. I felt the very same thing. That is how much of a coward Andrew really is. He pretends to be willing to sacrifice his life for you when he is the one who waits for the perfect moment to stab you. I felt the same. What you think will happen? I asked Shane. I think we should be glad if we just got suspended, he replied quickly. I looked at him with wide eyes. I don't know what has happened lately, but I am starting to like Shane, and we have started to think a lot alike. Sarah's POV. As Jake said, the inquiry didn't go well. All my instincts were saying that something terrible is going to happen. But what can I do? I was just praying God. Jake said they will announce the punishment on Wednesday morning. All the guys who involved in the fight were asked to come to the Vice-Chancellor's office. I had a lecture in the morning, but I was not capable of made up my mind to go for the lecture. I was terrified. I was waiting for Jake to call or text me. They were asked to come there around 9 a.m. It is now at 10 a.m. But I didn't hear anything from Jake. I was nearly going crazy. Suddenly my phone rang. I quickly grabbed it and answered. Jake, I said without even looking at the caller ID. Sorry to disappoint you, but it is just me, Sarah, Mr. Patterson's voice raised from the other side. Chapter 74, I was waiting nervously for Jake to call me. Finally, my phone rang. I quickly grabbed it and answered. Jake, I said without even looking at the caller ID. I was impatient. Sorry to disappoint you, but it is just me, Sarah, Mr. Patterson's voice raised from the other side. Mr. Patterson, I said automatically. Why is he calling me right now? You were nervously waiting for Jake to call you, weren't you, Sarah? He asked. His voice was super sarcastic. Jake told me that he was there in the inquiry panel. I am so sure he has done something evil to put Jake in more trouble. I could just sense it from his crooked voice. Why did you call me, Mr. Patterson? I asked, trying my best to hide my annoyance. I don't like to keep you waiting impatiently, Sarah. You don't deserve that, he said in a fake thoughtful voice. In the past few days, he let us live in peace. I thought he has changed after his mom's death. But I was totally wrong. He is so evil. I don't know how I ever felt sorry for him. Anyway, I don't have time for his. I just wanted to hear from Jake. Why did you call me, Mr. Patterson? I repeated my question, completely ignoring his previous statement. Don't get angry, my dear. Anger doesn't suit for an angel like you, he said. My dear. Angel. My foot. I am going to kill you, Mr. Patterson. I am not getting angry, Mr. Patterson. Please tell me the reason you called me. I said in my best calm voice. Look, Sarah. I know you were waiting impatiently to hear from your Jake. But he is still in the Vice-Chancellor's office. Even he doesn't know the final decision yet. But you know what? I can tell you what is the punishment he is going to get. We have finalized that by yesterday evening, he said. My heart started to pound so hard in my c.hest. Their punishments is a severe one, there is no doubt. My poor Jake. God. Why don't you have mercy on us? I don't want you to wait any more to hear that, Sarah. If you want I can tell you, he said again since I was silent. Okay. Please tell me what it is, Mr. Patterson, I said, trying to sound strong. I have to listen to it sooner or later. Maybe it is good to get to know about it before Jake tells me. Then I can prepare to make his heart in some way I can. Jake, your brother, and other guys are going to get suspended for 3 months. Mr. Patterson said after a small pause. What? 3 months? That is ridiculous. That is so unfair. Without even knowing, I shouted at the phone. 3 months means a long time. That counts for almost a semester. They are going to even miss the batch. That is not ridiculous, and it is not unfair either, Sarah. What they have done is totally crazy. They could escape from the police because of Luke's dad, but if we let them go with a light punishment, it will create many troubles in the whole university system, he said. I know what they have done is not right. But 3 months suspension can change their whole lives. No matter how hard I tried to stay strong, I broke into tears as I spoke. Sarah! Don't cry. You have heard only a part of their punishment yet, he said in his wicked voice. What? What is he talking about? There is more to this punishment. What are they going to do with these boys' poor lives now? Do they want to totally ruin these guys' lives? They are banned from playing football for the university for these 3 months, he said. His voice clearly said how happy and satisfied he is. I couldn't even believe what I heard. Jake, Shane, Bob, Glenn. All those are the best players our university has. If those guys can't play, then there is no football for our university. But the inter-university tournaments are around the corner. University team can't play without these guys, I said. University also has to bear that loss, he said simply. You know what, Mr. Patterson? This is totally ridiculous and unbelievable. You all can't play like this with their future. You all are going to completely ruin their lives. I never thought I would have guts to speak up to him like that. But at that moment, I was in a status I have never been. I have faced unfairness and injustice in my whole life. I am so used to it. But I couldn't just stand my Jake going through such injustice. He doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve any of these. I am afraid that is their final punishment, Sarah. No matter how ridiculous or unbelievable it sounds, he said. You think that they will accept this without any objections? They have the right to go against this. I quickly said. Of course, they can, he said. But if I am one of them, I will not even think of that. I think you are aware that a university has its own rules and regulations. Even the justice system in the country can't intervene in the university's decision. The only place you can go to is human rights. But I have never heard of any students who won going against the university. It just destroys any chance they would have to continue their studies in that university, he added. Yes. What he said is true. But there should be some way. They can't just accept this without doing anything. But there has to be some way, I said slowly. I was just speaking to myself then to him. Yet. There is a way to solve this, he replied. What? What is that? I quickly asked. There is a person who can help them reduce their punishment, he said again. A person? Who is that? I asked doubtfully. Is he really going to help us, or is this some kind of a lame joke? According to how he talked to me earlier, I can't believe he is going to help us now. That person is none other than you, my dear, he said. What, me? What you are talking about, Mr. Patterson? How can I help them? I asked. He is totally messing with me. He is so inhumane. You can't directly do anything. But you can help a person who can support them, he said. Mr. Patterson, you are truly driving me crazy. I am not in a condition to play around. Please tell me what you are trying to say. I said, without even trying to hide how angry I was. Okay. Okay. I will tell you directly. I can change this decision, Sarah. I can make their punishment reduced, so it won't affect their academic or sport careers by any means. But to do that, I need another help from you, he said. What kind of support you need from me? I asked. It is something personal. You have to agree to my condition first, then only I can tell you, he said. If you can help them as you said. Why don't you just do it, without ruining innocent lives? I asked. I don't do anything if I don't get something in return, my dear. I don't get anything from helping them. So I want something from you to cover that, he said. You. Now, I can totally understand what you are trying to do. I knew you are not a good person. But not even for a second, I thought you are this evil. You are going to use me. You just want to get revenge from my Jake, don't you? You are using me to hurt his most painful place. Why are you silent, Sarah? Don't you want to help your lover boy and your brother? He asked, smiling. God! I swear I want to kill this. Mr. Patterson, you know what? No matter what Jake and my brother have to go through, I am not ready to become a pawn in your game. If you are that evil to ruin innocent lives to fulfill your expectations, let it be like that. I said. Are you sure, that's what you want, Sarah? I am not asking you to sleep with me to save your lover boy, he said, laughing. Jesus! Stop your evil laugh. You are too much, Mr. Patterson. I am sure about that, Mr. Patterson. Thank you for your offer. I said sarcastically. Okay, dear. But in case you change your mind, which I am pretty sure you would do. My offer is still valid, he replied. Without saying anything, I cut the call. I was burning with anger. He is not a human at all. For the sake of getting his revenge, he is going to ruin not just Jake's life but the other 5 lives as well. My whole body was shivering with unbearable anger and pain. My poor Jake. Those poor guys who are going to suffer for a reason they don't even know. How this world is this cruel. Why I was born to this cruel world in the first place. This world never lets us be happy. My phone started to ring again. The call was from Jake. I don't even know what should I say after answering the call. Chapter 75, I touched the answer button, not knowing how to console him. Sarah. I want to meet you, without letting me even say hello, he said. Okay, where? I asked. 10th floor in 15 minutes, he asked. Okay, I agreed. There is no doubt that he is devastated. That's why he wanted to meet me in person before he tells me the news. My poor Jake. You don't deserve this. I wish this Patterson wasn't born to this world in the first place. He doesn't deserve a place among us. I waited on the 10th floor until he comes. As soon as he saw me, he hugged me tightly. I even felt difficult to breathe. Holding me like that, he stayed in complete silence for some time. Actually, he didn't have to use words to let me know what he was feeling right then. The way he holds me. The way he breathed and sighed. Simply told me how much of a pain he is going through. They suspended us for 3 months. Also, they banned us from playing for the university team for that duration. After a few minutes, he said while still holding me. I indeed knew this even before he told me, but when I heard it from his voice, it felt 1,000,000 times more painful. Though I thought knowing the news beforehand would help me to comfort him, I was wrong. I still couldn't find words to speak. I felt like my heart was shattered to 1,000,000 small pieces. They know exactly how to hurt us most sensitively, he said again. My eyes were speaking on behalf of my lips. Warm tears started to spill out of my eyes and we.t his shirt. He broke the h.ug and delicately wiped out tears from my cheeks. But it made me cry even more. Jake was wearing formal attire. Dark blue trousers with a white shirt. He looked so handsome and hot, despite the sadness and pain in his sculpted face. I couldn't bear seeing my love in this doom. I couldn't tolerate it at all. Why our destiny is like this, Jake? Why we can never have happiness? I am fed up with all of these. I just wish I could die without living like this. I said in between tears. SHH, he shut my mouth with his palm. Don't even think like that, princess. Everything is temporary. Even our problems. We will find happiness pretty soon. I promise you. I want you to be strong for me and Luke. He said, carefully placing a small kiss on my forehead. This decision affects others even more than me. You know, some of them are already in academic probation. Some of them are just hanging there. Without getting into probation. I don't even know how this decision would affect all of those. Anyway, you have to be strong for your brother and for your parents too, princess, he said again. I know I have to be strong. I can't let that coward, Patterson, win. But I am not sure I have the required courage to be strong. Sarah. I have to go now. Their decision starts effects from today. So we are officially out of bound even now. On the other hand, I have to meet other guys as well. This moment, they really need my help. When you go home, try to be with Shane. I don't know how your parents would react to this. No matter what happens, always stay with him. He actually needs you at this moment. Jake said gently. One more thing. You have to go to lectures every day. You have to continue your studies as you used to. Don't let any of these things affect your studies. Promise me, my princess, he said. I hugged him again and laid my head on his firm chest. My love. My darling, Jake. How am I supposed to come to the university and concentrate on studies when you are not around? How can I tolerate seeing that coward every day in the university, but not you? Please tell me, how can I turn my heart to stone to handle all these things? Embracing the smell of my favorite cologne mixed with his bodily smell, I cried. I didn't want to go to the lecture at all. But Jake forced me to go. I met Sally after the lecture. We went to the canteen together. I feel like not coming to this university ever again, Sally said, sipping her coffee. Without saying anything, I looked at her. I don't really know how they make decisions. There is no transparency or justice in their decisions anymore. They are just playing with our lives, she said angrily. I sighed. What can I say, dear? There is one person behind all these sh. Don't know why this kind of a prestigious university let him work like this. Yes, of course, his dad is a powerful person. But that doesn't give him permission to intervene in university work. I saw Jake. I couldn't stand looking at him, to be honest. I have never seen him look that disappointed, she said sadly. I don't know if she knows about me and Jake, but sometimes the way she talks and acts make me think that she has a sense there is something between me and Jake. Not just him. I saw Bob. He was literally crying, I replied. Bob was on academic probations. He was warned before that he will miss the batch if he misses or couldn't score a good result in even one assignment. Now he is going to miss everything for 3 months. Not just that, I have heard that his dad has faced a huge loss in their businesses. So they were already in a status that they can barely manage to pay university fees. Now, I don't even know how they will manage everything, thanks to those ignorant cowards. I have never seen Sally speaks like this. She is indeed so angry. I felt so sorry for Bob. He indeed made my life miserable with his friends. But I don't care. Even he doesn't deserve this kind of punishment. Above everything, what made my heart more painful is those guys actually even don't know why they had to face such a cruel decision. Can't we do anything for this, Sally? I asked her. I don't think we can do anything, Sarah. As students, we are really powerless. The only thing we can even try is to arrange to boycott against this. But you know how our university reacts to boycotts. We are so helpless, she replied. It is true. We are so helpless. People we love and care for are getting into big trouble, but we can't do anything about that. Or maybe we can. I remembered Mr. Patterson's offer. No. I should not even think about that. I shook my head, trying to forget it. Mom, Dad, and Shane were at the dinner table. I prepared their favorite dinner, a pour try to cheer them up. Usually, I go to my room after they sit for dinner. I only come back when they finish eating. But today, I stayed in the kitchen. As Jake said, I wanted to be there for my brother. After they had dinner, Shane broke the news to my parents. My mom got shocked a lot more than I even imagined. What are we going to do now? They have destroyed my son's future. They should all go to hell. She was crying, cursing, and complaining. When compared to her, Dad took the news calmly. But he had a lot of things to ask from Shane. As I understood, Dad is worried about two things mostly. Paying Shane's university fees if he has to repeat subjects and what will happen to his football career. I think Dad worried more about the football thing. Shane tried his best to answer, hiding the severity of the situation. Isn't there anything we can do? Dad finally asked. No, Dad, Shane replied, looking down. I will never forget the look in Dad's face for the rest of my life. He looked so disappointed and worrying. Mom was still crying when Dad took her to the room. I was scared if she gets ill, crying like that. After cleaning the kitchen, I took a wash and rested on my bed. My mind was packed with so many things. I couldn't think about anything clearly. Suddenly, someone knocked on my door. Sarah, Shane. Come in, I said, sitting on the bed. He entered my room and closed the door. Then he sat beside me on the bed. What will happen to me, now? He asked after staying in silence for a minute. I lost words to speak. What should I tell him? His voice clearly stated the pain in his heart. There is no doubt I will miss the batch. I may have to sit for the exams with juniors. Isn't it what going to happen? He asked, looking at my face. I really don't know, Shane. I don't know what all these will lead to, I said sadly. If I miss the batch, even you wouldn't be able to help me doing my assignments and exams, right? He asked. Oh, Shane. Even if that happens, I will always help you with your academics. Don't worry about that. I said immediately, holding his hand. He never let me hold his hand. But today, he didn't care. I don't care about this stupid degree at all. But Mom and Dad have many hopes about me graduating. I can't let them down. I can't let them feel disappointed again because of me, he said. I don't want to see it either, Shane. I know they are not feeling happy no matter what I did. Their only happiness is you. I don't want them to lose that. If it is not for Mom and Dad, I would ask all those. I don't want their stupid degree. I only care about football. Banning me from playing football is the real punishment they gave me, he said. That's true. Football is his life. I totally get it. Can you remember, Sarah? When we're in primary school, he asked, smiling. I actually don't remember much about primary school. I got ill from time to time. Most of my weekends and holidays were spent on hospital beds, as far as I can remember. I was just the dumb brother of super smart Sarah, he said, laughing. But even his laugh said it was not a pleasurable memory. I got bullied because I was a slow learner. People wondered how a smart kid like you got a stupid brother like me. One day a teacher asked Mom if I was adopted. That day, it really shattered my heart. I cried alone for the whole day. I had no friends. There was no one for me. No one loved me. I was totally neglected. Not just in school. At home too. Even Mom and Dad didn't love me. All the complaints they got from school made them really mad at me. I got beat every day at school as well as at home, he was talking. It was more like he was talking to himself. God. I only have a blurred memory of all these. Did he really have to go through all of these? Is that the reason he started to hate me this much? Shane is always really good at making friends. How he had no friends those days. Mom and Dad love him more than their lives. I couldn't even believe they treated him badly those days. What have I done those days to forget all these things? If what he is saying is true. He had gone through a lot. More than he could bear as a little kid. Maybe that's the reason he turned into a monster. All those things changed after I started performing at football. Football changed my life. It gave me a reason to live. The rest of the audiobooks will be uploaded in the next episode. Join us on Patreon to listen to more unlimited audiobooks.